And good morning again, and welcome to Face the Nation. Senator Joe Lieberman, who is chairman of the Senate Homeland Security and Government Affairs Committee, is with us here. They do have congressional oversight on the Secret Service. So, Senator, let me just get right at it here. On Friday, another 3 Secret Service agents resigned, and the Secret Service announced that another agent was under investigation in a separate incident. Do you know what this latest person to be identified, what that had to, what's going on there?
Right, Bob. Those announcements on Friday were significant in 2 regards. One is that it shows that Director Sullivan at the Secret Service is pursuing this investigation aggressively and comprehensively. It's clear to me now that he's interviewing everybody from the Secret Service who was in Cartagena. But what was striking to me and significant is that the 12th agent, now put on administrative leave as of Friday, was not staying at the Caribe Hotel where the other agents were, but at the Hilton. And the Hilton is significant because that's where President Obama was going to stay. Now, we don't know at this point what that 12th agent is being charged with and why he's been put on administrative leave. But now you're into the hotel where the President of the United States was going to stay, and it just gets more troubling.
Do you have any indication yet of whether any White House staffers were involved? Because anytime the president travels overseas, as well as the Secret Service and the security people who go in advance, there are always White House staffers who go as part of the advance team. Do you have any indication anybody from the White House was involved?
I don't, Bob, but I tell you, if anybody at the White House asks for my counsel on this, I would say they ought to be launching their own internal review of all White House personnel, advance teams and the rest, who were in Cartagena, to make sure that no one working for the White House was involved in any of the same kind of inappropriate behavior that the Secret Service agents were. Obviously, a Secret Service agent has a different range of responsibility than somebody on a White House advance team. On the other hand, if we're worried about compromising through sexual favors the security of the President of the United States, the White House advance team obviously knows exactly where the President's going to be at every moment, and they have a responsibility, in my opinion, to conduct themselves at all times when they're working for the President in a way that doesn't make them vulnerable to being compromised by anybody who wants to do the President harm.
Where is your committee on this? Are you going to hold hearings? Are you actively investigating? Where are you?
Yes, we have launched an inquiry and investigation, and we will hold hearings on the Secret Service crisis, scandal, whatever you want to call it. I have wanted, and Senator Collins, my ranking member, we've wanted to give Director Sullivan and the Office of Professional Responsibility some room here first to conduct their own investigation. But we have begun our own investigation, and we will be sending specific questions to the Secret Service this week. When Director Sullivan is through with his investigation of what happened in Cartagena, we'll decide whether we need to do any more about that, about Cartagena. But what I'm specifically going to be interested in was what happened in Cartagena an exception or part of a pattern of behavior that happened over time elsewhere? And if it did, why didn't somebody at the Secret Service essentially blow the whistle on it? And what are they going to do now to make sure it never happens again?
And will your investigation include asking about the possible involvement of White House staffers? After all, this comes under Cabinet member Janet Napolitano, who's the Secretary of Homeland Security. Will you be calling her? Should she be looking into this?
I hope and believe she is. The Secret Service is placed within the Department of Homeland Security now, so they, in that sense, are part of her administrative oversight. My guess is she is. We haven't decided on witnesses, but we'll sure be talking to her about what her department's going to do. Look, this is important. This is the safety of the President and Vice President of the United States and their families. And for Secret Service agents who have the responsibility to protect the President, to act as these people did in Cartagena, as if they were college kids on a spring break, is reprehensible. And it really does damage to the reputation of what I think has been a great organization. That's why the Secret Service and those of us who admire it, I think, have a special responsibility not to just stop after Director Sullivan finishes his investigation of Cartagena, we got to go on and keep asking questions to make sure it never happens again.
What about the Secret Service Director, Mark Sullivan? Do you still have confidence in him?
I do at this point. I think he reacted very quickly and very aggressively when he first heard of the episode in Cartagena, and I think he's conducting a comprehensive investigation, as evidenced by the fact that his people are talking to everybody down there. But in fairness to him and the Secret Service, our committee is going to look back at past conduct and records of misconduct, and to ask whether anybody at the Secret Service and the administration should have been on notice that something like this might have been happening, and to have acted to stop it. Is there a code of conduct that the Secret Service agents know they've got to follow, not just when they're on duty, but when they're on assignment? Because the truth is, they should feel that they're always on duty, because if they're compromised, then the safety of the President of the United States is compromised.
Let me ask you one quick question about this scandal in the General Services Administration. I mean, here the President's security was not at risk.
Right.
It just seems a bunch of people who just basically were idiots about putting on this costly conference out in Las Vegas, all on the taxpayers' tab. What are you going to do about that?
Well, this is a really outrageous, for me, sickening episode, because you know, it doesn't represent what I know to be most people who work for the federal government, but it's so outrageous. These people took something like 8 trips to Las Vegas over a year and a half to plan this convention. Those planning trips cost $150,000.
Well, what do you do about that?
The Inspector General at GSA has done a very good investigation. But here's the next steps, and our committee's getting into this too. One, we're going to ask the Inspector General now to conduct a similar oversight investigation of the 9 other regions. This happened in Region 9 out of San Francisco. I want to know if there's abuse in the other regions, particularly when it comes to conferences. Secondly, we're going to call in the director, the acting administrator of GSA, and ask him to take a look at the autonomy that each of these regions have been given. I don't know at this point whether anybody in Washington had to sign off before these people spent $1 million of taxpayer money on a party, basically.
It might be a good idea to fix the law so they can't.
Exactly. Incidentally, I know you have Tom Coburn coming on Tuesday on another bill, postal reform, from our committee. He's got a very good amendment on. I might like to tweak parts of it, but it's going to limit the amount of money that federal bureaucrats can spend on conferences and force them to get sign-off before they do.
Senator Lieberman, thank you so much for being with us.